I'm going to open us with a devotion today. It's adapted from todaysdevotional.com, written by Kurt Sellis. It's called The Posture of Prayer, based on Psalm 51. Have mercy on me, O God, according to your unfailing love, a broken and contrite heart. You, God, will not despise. What is your posture for praying? Do you close your eyes? Do you fold your hands? Do you get down on your knees? Do you stand up? Actually, there are many appropriate positions for prayer, and none are necessarily right or wrong. It's the posture of our hearts that really matters in praying. The Bible teaches that God rejects the proud and the arrogant, but God listens to the prayers of believers who approach him with a humble and contrite heart. Approaching God with a humble and repentant heart, though, does not imply groveling. Coming before God with meekness, we confess that we have sinned and have fallen short of his glory. Our humility is an appeal for forgiveness. It's an acknowledgement of our utter need and total dependence. Ultimately, it's a plea that we need Jesus. Through Jesus' death on the cross, we receive God's grace. So with humility and a contrite spirit, we can boldly enter into God's very presence with our prayers. God does not despise our humble repentance. So whether you pray standing up on your knees, seated with your hands folded, or however you happen to approach God, do so with a humble and contrite heart. Let us pray. Father, through your Son, Jesus, we come humbly before you, trusting that you hear and answer our prayers. Amen. I formally welcome you to our Schools Connect call today. I am Corey Newman. I'm the Executive Director of ELEA and your facilitator today. It is important for me to remind you that this is a safe place for our leaders to gather to connect, develop, and inspire through this platform. I hope those of you who are here today will share your honest responses to the information being presented, and also feel free to share how you are navigating these times. These conversations are an intentional step to gather our community for support, advocacy, and prayer. Today, we are joined by Jake Haug, account manager for Beehively, and his team. Jake has a passion for helping others, and he saw an opportunity to do exactly that by joining the Beehively team. Jake is now putting his communication degree to work every day, helping schools with intuitive and budget-friendly software, freeing up time for teachers and administrators to focus on what's important, their students. Welcome, Jake and Liz and Ryan from Beehively. Thank you for being here.
Thanks so much for having us, Corey. Really appreciate it. I think we're all very excited to be here, and happy to, be able to share with you all a little bit about what we are helping schools with. Okay, well, fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and jump into our presentation here. If you would just give me a moment. Okay. And if you could give me a quick nod of the head to confirm that you can indeed see the beginning of the presentation. Fantastic. All righty. Well, hello, and thank you all for joining me for today's webinar. We're going to cover a lot of information. So I am going to go ahead. I'm going to wait maybe just another minute or so to accommodate any last minute stragglers or anything like that. We do want to make sure that as many of us are here as possible, and then I'll go ahead and get started. So it's 9:06 right now. I'll really just give it a minute. We'll wait until 9:07, and then I will get started. In the meantime, I would like to invite anybody who might have questions or anything like that. Please go ahead and you can unmute right now before we get started. Feel free to ask. You can also plug them into the chat. I'll have a little more information on that shortly.
While we're just waiting a moment, welcome Beth and Don, and I'm missing the third name, but thank you so much for joining us live today. If you'd like to introduce yourself and what school you're from, that would really be helpful and nice.
We're all humble Lutherans and waiting for someone else to go first. So I'll boldly, brashly step out. My name's Don Gillingham. I'm the Executive Director of Rockford Lutheran School, which is a pre-K through 12, 750 student school. And we're very interested in enrollment. We lost about 100 kids this year. We believe it's because of the pandemic, but we need to make them back. So we're kind of interested in the reputation that you guys have for getting the job done and seeing if there's any way we can use your wisdom to increase our ministry.
And I'm thinking that the other person, so sorry, Beth, is Diana Smith. She's from Texas, Fort Worth, Texas, and is typically multitasking quite a bit on these calls. And I can see that she has her microphone off. So probably in listen mode to try to gain some further information today.
And I'll go next. I'm Beth Coburn. I'm from Valparaiso, Indiana, and I'm presently retired. I was a director for 20 years, and now I'm on the board and just looking to gather information to help support the schools and centers in the ALEA.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for all joining us and giving us a little bit of an overview as to who you are. We're super excited to be able to share with you what we have today. So with that said, I'll hand it back over to Jake.
Fantastic. Yeah, thanks again, Don and Beth. Really, again, just to echo Ryan, really great to have you both here. So, all right, my friends. To get started, I would like to introduce myself and a couple of my colleagues who we've sort of met. They're going to be supporting me during this webinar. So my name is Jake, and I'm an account manager over here at Beehively. I help schools avoid overpaying for clunky services and work directly with our schools every day to ensure that they're successful with our software. I'm joined today by Ryan Waddington, our rockstar sales manager, and Elizabeth Liz Bloxberg, one of our leading technology wizards and director of business development. They're both going to help me answer your questions as they come up during the webinar. So while we're on the subject, I would like to invite you to please plug your questions into the chat box, and either Ryan or Liz will be able to answer them as soon as they can. I've also set a little time near the end of the webinar for some good old-fashioned Q&A. So if you'd like to hold your questions until then, we'll be happy to answer all of them. Please just note them down and we'll address as many as we can. All right, my friends, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So you can see that we've got a lot to cover today. And there's a little too much that I want to touch on to be able to hone in on the specifics of everything that we're doing to help our schools. So I'm going to paint a broad picture for you all so that you can see how we're empowering our schools to simplify their numerous services by using our software and technology programs. And like I said, don't worry, we'll have the opportunity to get into some specifics during the question time at the end. So here's a little bit of information on who we are as Beehively. We're founded in 2008, and we're a longstanding partner of many parochial schools, charter schools, independent and private schools across the country, and even a few outside of the country. So here you can see some of our current schools. We're helping these schools with software that we've developed to seamlessly combine school-wide communication functions, student data management, tracked communication with your families, attendance taking, assignment grading, and to eliminate redundancies like double data entry between Google Classroom and your current student information system. We can do this because we've developed our software to integrate with Google Classroom and the other Google applications. So come join our family and see what all the buzz is about. Now, with those things being said, I would just like to remind you, we want to answer as many of your questions as possible. So please feel free to drop any questions that may be tangentially related or not at all in the chat. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier, either Ryan or Liz will be able to help you get an answer. So feel free to take down our contact information from this current slide, but don't worry, I will share it with you again at the end of the presentation with a special promo for our ELEA members and non-members who are here in attendance of today's webinar. You want to make sure that you're sticking around for that. The education world is still kind of crazy. Things have gotten a little weird with distance and hybrid learning, as many schools are still sifting through what returning to school might actually look like, and sometimes scrambling to find their answers. Are all the students coming back? Are only some of the students coming back? Are we staying with distance learning for a little while longer? What exactly is happening out there? And while there is hope for a full return on the horizon, it's all still kind of up in the air. Because of this, a lot of schools set up tons of programs to help them out, and a lot of them were not that successful. We've seen a lot of schools end up with programs and services that don't integrate well and can't communicate with each other, leaving these schools overpaying for too many different programs. It's not even all about the cost. The wide adoption of free solutions has gotten teachers and administrators bogged down in data entry across a bunch of different platforms. What started as free has quickly become a burden. We know that the challenges facing many schools might be similar, but in order to conquer those challenges, we need to create a unique understanding of your school. No approach to a problem can be exactly the same because no two schools are exactly the same. And this is why, in order to figure out how best to help your school, we'll start with a conversation. We take a deep dive with you to understand your specific concerns and the distinctive way that your school functions, as well as the current programs and services that you're using. We'll then work with you to come up with a unique and effective strategy for success. Now, you can see I'm going to touch a little on our web services. This includes building, hosting, and maintaining public websites, our powerful communication features, and our intuitive student information system. Now, there has never been a more important time to make sure that your public website is up to par. The most successful schools are embracing their website as a marketing tool to help with fundraising, enrollment, retention, and driving donations. There's a lot of heavy lifting that your website needs to be doing in light of the challenges posed by distance learning and COVID-forced social distancing. You can't rely on the same kind of in-person school tours and meetings that we've all gotten so used to. Beehively has been making fully customized, high-touch, cross-platform accessible websites that are ADA compliant for years. And those underappreciated in-person tours that have seemingly disappeared, well, we're helping our schools get virtual tours displayed online. We've even done a talent show, graduation ceremonies, and live stream church services through our school's public websites. So here, you can see a quick spotlight for St. Finbar Catholic School in San Francisco. It has been a pleasure working with Megan and her fabulous staff. Megan came to us knowing that they had an underperforming website and needed help with their distance learning platform. So after partnering with us, Megan and her school now proudly feel that they have the kind of hardworking, cutting-edge public website and intuitive, easy-to-use, and high-performing distance learning solution that a school in the heart of technology-driven San Francisco should have. The icing on the cake is we were able to develop and launch their public website, help them with their distance learning, and save her school money in the process. And as you can see, Megan, her staff, and most importantly, the parents at her school love working with us. A communication system is what we started with way back once upon a time, and it's a feature that we take great pride in. Connecting to your community has never been more important, and now with Beehively, it's never been easier. Our system allows mass email communication on all sorts of different levels. Communicate at a school-wide, at class, specific group, customized segment, or the individual level. Better yet, students and parents need not even log in to our software to have to receive this communication, as it can show up in their inbox as an email. If you'd like your communication to remain in the portal as an announcement and not send as an email, those settings can be accommodated too. You have complete control over how you'd like your messaging to be received, either as an email or an announcement or both. This same function makes sending student grade reports, discipline reports, and progress reports to parents a breeze. Now, no small part of your school communication is making sure that your messages are indeed being received. So we've taken the uncertainty out of message sending and receipt. I think we've all heard the old, oh, you know, it must have gotten lost in the mail excuse, or today's version, you know, I never saw that email. Well, every announcement and message sent through our system creates what we call a dashboard. This dashboard is a centralized hub for communication tracking that allows you to see when something was sent, delivered, opened, and clicked. We've had schools tell us that it has been an invaluable tool to isolate cases where emails are bouncing due to outdated or incorrectly entered information. It is critical to be certain that you are keeping your community informed. Now, one of our newly updated features is the development of a robust and intuitive newsletter builder that empowers you to flex your creative prowess and design your own gorgeous newsletters. We built our newsletter builder with easy access to millions of royalty-free images for you to peruse and use. But of course, we think the strongest images to use in your newsletters come from your own school communities. We also know how important it is to hang on to designs, templates, and messages that resonate with your community. With Beehively, all of your communication, whether it's newsletters, school-wide announcements, or specific classroom communication, will be archived. So you can always go back and reuse it as a template in the future. But the very best part of our newsletter builder is it's integrated right into our software. Say goodbye to paying for an additional platform just to send out newsletters. Keep it all in one easy to use, powerful, mega capable software with Beehively. Now, additionally, when you communicate with Beehively software, you'll always be able to preview your content to see what it will look like, whether it's accessed from a desktop computer, a tablet, or on a mobile device. Now, this is critical because more people than ever are accessing the internet and content on their phones before viewing it on a desktop computer. So whether you're sending out a one-of-a-kind, attention-grabbing newsletter, posting a video for your entire school, or making an announcement for a specific classroom, you can preview it to make sure it's scaling exactly how you want it to. Now, we know that your teachers' gradebooks make up the backbone of their classrooms. We also know how important it is to have powerful and easy to use attendance features, especially in light of all of the challenges posed by distance and hybrid learning. So we designed our student information system to effortlessly handle all of your grading, attendance, and reporting needs. Perhaps the most powerful part of our student information system, or SIS, is the ability to group siblings and families together. So with our SIS, you have one centralized location where you can keep your community's important health information, track student progress throughout their entire academic career, and connect family profiles. Editing this information is about as easy as it gets because we know with families comes lots of nuance. So you can easily adjust family ties in the system as well. This allows for more detailed data management, tracking, and easy dissemination of messages to a specific family or sibling set. Keeping in line with simplifying your teachers' daily to-do lists, do you use Google Classroom? We know a lot of schools out there are. And if so, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, we know that that has led to some instances of redundant double data entry. Well, with our student information system, you can cross double data entry off that to-do list because we integrate with Google from an easy single sign-on with your current Gmail account to calendars and the Google Classroom. Your grading data will be pulled straight across from your Google Classroom, keeping it all behind the scenes just like magic. So you can spend more of your time where it's needed most, teaching. Now, one of our newest school partners may look familiar to some of you. We started working with Jan and her lovely staff after partnering with the ELEA. Jan was in desperate need for a new student information system, communication platform, and distance learning solution. Her staff did a great job navigating the rocky waters of the 2020 COVID-impacted school year, but they were overpaying for an outdated student information system that hardly returns their calls. Jan knew she needed a partner that could simplify their situation, giving her time back to do what she does best and the school needed most, lead. In working together, we are now helping Jan with all of her student information, communication, data tracking, and distance learning needs for half the price of what her school had been paying for their old service. We're even helping them with donation tracking and communication to their affiliated parish and alumni community. Now, we're going to shift gears a little bit. And as Sean Beard notes here, distance learning in some capacity may be around longer than we all initially thought it would. So I'm going to show you all some of the software responses that we've developed to keep school communities safe and learning during the pandemic. Now, as I've mentioned, I am going to touch a little on some of the features that we've developed for maintaining education, teaching, and safety throughout the challenges posed by COVID-19. This includes our Today page, our health screening feature, and urgent alerts. We've built a simple but not simplistic solution for distance education, making the software powerful yet easy to use. We designed the Today page to simplify the confusing landscape of distance and hybrid learning. We've seen how many links teachers and students are having to share and bounce between. So we developed this feature so that within a few clicks, a student, teacher, or parent can see where and what classes they have for a single day or the entire week. Now, we know that many teachers and students have developed a preferred virtual meeting software. For example, lots of people like using Zoom. So we built our Today page to link to whatever your preferred video software is. We have also developed our own video software so that you can use your virtual, our virtual classrooms, or as I noted, you can link your Today page to Google Meets, to Zoom, Microsoft Teams, or anything else. We'll work with it to keep you covered. Additionally, we built our Today page to include teacher-uploaded resources so that students can interact with documents and links without having to leave the classroom. Say goodbye to classroom confusion, to Zoom bombings, and to lost students. We developed our health screening feature to ensure that as staff and students begin returning to school, you can keep your community safe. Here, you can see the different parts of our health screening feature across multiple platforms. The health screener has been designed to automatically be emailed to parents and staff each morning, prompting a response regarding potential COVID exposure or symptoms for their students and themselves. We've built the health screener with 3 pre-populated questions that we've developed as the most effective for establishing potential COVID exposure risk. Though, should you choose, you may have up to 5 custom questions that you can send to your community. Now, based on parents' responses, the health screener will recommend either staying at home, as indicated with a red X, or coming to school, as indicated with a green check mark. Administrators and teachers can receive the data, empowering them to act accordingly. We've heard of teachers accessing their community health screening responses through our mobile app and standing at the front of their school in order to correctly admit healthy students back on campus. Urgent alerts. Now, our urgent alert system is a multimedia emergency communication hub that allows you and your teachers to communicate important information via email, voicemail, and or text messaging to those that need to know in your community. We've developed our urgent alert system before COVID to help communicate school closure information due to weather or natural disaster. However, we've seen it used heavily throughout the pandemic to address COVID-related alerts. If you're living in the Northeast, or as I know some of you out there right now, I'm sure you will have had to make use of similar types of alerts for snow days in the past couple of weeks, today included. For us out here in the West, weather-related urgent alerts were used to communicate about wildfires and school closures during the fall. Now, that said, no matter where you are, some sort of wild weather seems to be sticking around. So once again, and perhaps most importantly, this is all a part of the same software. With Beehively, you can consolidate the number of platforms that your school is using, simplifying your services, freeing up your time, and saving your school money. Now, while you have heard me speak primarily about Beehively throughout this presentation, that's not all that we do. We have a sister company, Techabee, that works exclusively on technology programs and hardware for schools. You can see here an overview of the services that Techabee provides, including strategic tech planning, network infrastructure planning and support, device management and content filtering, professional development and tech training, and assistance with vendor management and equipment setup and installation. With our Techabee technology service, we want to help you design and implement a technology program not just for today or for this month or even this year, but for next year and all of the following years to come. We'll work hand in hand with you to develop a plan to create the technology program that your community deserves, laying the groundwork for technological success. The best part is, we keep it simple so that you don't have to worry about understanding and learning any dense tech jargon. We know you're busy enough as is. Leave the complicated tech stuff to us. Networks and network infrastructure is something you shouldn't have to think about. It's something that should simply run effectively in the background. We often find schools are held back by aging infrastructure. If networks were vehicles, a school doesn't necessarily need a rocket ship, but they shouldn't get stuck using a skateboard either. Techabee helps schools find the perfect family car. Now, particularly during COVID, we have seen a spike in the demand for remote support. This largely relates to device management, which we will happily take off your hands. We also implement content filtering, which guides what students can and cannot access on the internet in order to keep children safe from what they might intentionally or unintentionally stumble upon online. Part and parcel with empowering our schools to be the best that they can be is our unmatched professional development and ed tech trainings. Now, what does that mean? Well, we'll help you every step of the way with whatever technology training and development you need. We can help establish a full training plan for your school and assist your teachers to reach their technology goals. All teachers are different, and our unique approach allows us to meet at everyone's individual comfort level. Whether that means being comfortable with Gmail or something as complicated as mastering the interactive projector you've just installed in the classroom. Whatever your technology needs, we'll make sure that your school and your teachers are set up for success. Now, because we've been at this for so long, we've spent years building relationships and working with tons of different vendors. This allows us to purchase products on your behalf at the most competitive prices. We can also help with the physical install of any hardware that you need. Now, the head of school at Seacrest is Lauren Miller. When we first met Lauren, sorry about that. When we first met Lauren, the current head of school at Seacrest in Half Moon Bay, she was working as an administrator at the presentation school in Sonoma, or as we call it, PSS. She knew firsthand how easy and enjoyable it is to work with our team. She also knew how effective we were in being able to help the presentation school with their technology and software needs. So when Lauren was met with the opportunity to become head of school for Seacrest, and she saw the vast potential that the school had for technological success, she knew exactly where to go to get that one-of-a-kind support and service implementation that she had loved at PSS. Now, for us, support doesn't end at the end of any sales process. That's really where our support starts. And I'd like to clarify that support for both Beehively and Techabee. We view ourselves as part of your educational community and take great pride in that role. For that reason, we offer ongoing support and training in unlimited amounts at no additional cost. We know that if you have a good experience, you're going to tell your friends and colleagues, and we've largely grown up to this point through word of mouth. Because of this, we know the value of great service, which is exactly what you can expect. Remember, for example, that talent show I mentioned hosting for a school? Well, we treated that simply as a temporary public website update, which falls well under our expansive definition of what support encompasses. Now, I know that we've covered a lot of information, so I'd like to remind you of the beginning of the presentation when I teased a little promo at the end. Well, here it is, and here we are. For all ELEA member schools and any non-member schools who have attended today's webinar, we are happily offering 20% off of your one-time activation fee when you partner with us. But that's not all. We're also offering a free tech assessment to help you identify what you'll need to have an optimized and budget-friendly technology revamp. So please take down our contact information and don't hesitate to reach out to us so that we can schedule some time to take a deeper dive into the specifics of your school. We'd love to start our conversation with you and begin to understand your school and your school's needs. We want to really connect and talk about the specific needs and start planning on how we can help. Lastly, I would just like to thank you all for joining me today and to open up the floor for any questions that you all might have.
Thank you, Jake. I have a question for you. One of the things that has been kind of widely discussed on some of our platforms and some of our other school association platforms is this whole idea of being able to have somebody who buys back some of your technology. And so just wondering how Techabee handles that, that kind of outdated technology, where that goes. Can a school kind of upgrade and get some credit for old technology? What's your strategy?
Sure. Liz, as the resident technology whiz, do you want to hop in there and help me out?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different options and it depends on what kind of devices you're talking about. Some pieces, when you're done with them, there's really nothing to do with them, unfortunately, but the majority of technology, your teacher devices, your student devices, even a lot of your network equipment can be sold back to additional vendors. We have a number of those that we work with personally. And then there are also options for buyout programs at your school. We have a lot of really successful device programs that start with the school purchasing the devices. And then as the students use them over the next 3 to 4 years, the parents are actually kind of leasing them from the school and then get the opportunity to buy them out at the end. And that can help you to move those devices off of campus, give your families a really nice way to get a discounted device that they're already comfortable using, and give you a little bit of the money back to put into the new versions of the devices.
Fantastic.
Great.
Thanks, Liz.
Thank you.
And yeah, if there are any other questions, yeah, Dawn, please.
I believe that I put you in touch with our, I'm going to sneak my mask off. I'm not supposed to, but there's a window in my office and I'm supposed to be a lead by example guy, but you might not be able to hear me. I believe I sent you to our elementary campus because they're using Google Classrooms more than us.
Yeah.
It leads me to ask a question about pricing. You have all of the components that we would need except for a financial program. And our student information service is tied to our financial program. We use a distance learning program that is called Canvas, which is much different from that. We just got a new website last year. How do you price your different components? I don't need to know what the prices are, but I know you've built a complete package, but how do you price the separate elements of that?
Sure.
I can actually jump in there and answer that. Don, I know we spoke on the phone one time, and I've had a talk to both Mary on the website and Curtis, kind of just in the lower sort of K to 5 school. Basically, pricing we look at basically on a per student basis, so that we can make it affordable no matter what the size of the school is. Your school is kind of interesting because it's got a couple of different campuses and different parts. And I know your senior school is served quite well by Canvas as it is. So we would look to just price for the students that are looking to use it, which would be the lower grades that Curtis looks after. And within that, we generally don't consider pre-K students as additional cost, as they're simply, they'll grow into the platform, but they don't need it at that point in time. So that's more or less how we do it. And then if there's sometimes, if there's the opportunity to be able to do multiple services and even tech, we can sometimes add in some bundled pricing across the lot.
So I know that ELEA staff, they're all young whippersnapper types who are connected to the 21st century. I'm a little bit more of a dinosaur. If we were doing our in-person conference, we'd like to see a group like yours so we can sit down and see how all the pieces are connected. But as we go forward, you probably just want to fly me out so I can meet your dog and talk to you about how we put together the different pieces that are here. Did you find Curtis to be interested, helpful? We're kind of thrashing about to see how we can make a parallel to the Canvas for our grade school.
Don, I have it on my list to email you this week. Curtis was helpful. He graced both Liz and I with his time, and we spoke quite some time ago. I think it was just before the Christmas break, and he was going to tee up with you and have a chat about it since then. I also went off to speak to Mary on the website, but Curtis certainly was interested. He felt like it could help, and we've sort of gone away and sort of prepared pricing for Rockford. So I would love to meet at another time with yourself and Curtis, or whoever you think is most pertinent to that discussion, and go through that, because I do think that we could help.
Yeah, so if you would get a hold of Curtis and talk to him. The issue, I'll give you a kind of a graphic example. Last week, or 2 weeks ago, we called a virtual snow day. Well, that's very easy now at the junior, senior high, but it's much harder at the elementary school. Junior, senior teachers have a rough equivalent of your Today page, but the grade school does not. And as a future consideration for us, our teachers will get their second vaccination in March. And I would like to be able to do a virtual learning day the Monday after in case we have teachers with symptoms. But it's hard to do it at the elementary. And if I can't do it pre-K through 12, it's hard on families. So we really need something like the Today page at the elementary school. So I won't bore all of the other people involved with this, but get with Curtis and tell him I will do that as well. You can include me on the email that I would really like to get some answers. During the summer, we're working with Grand Canyon University to upgrade the remote learning opportunities that we have at the junior senior high, but the elementary is kind of still open. They need to be able to create a Today page or a package for their classes. And there's some steps that are involved in that that would be helpful for you to talk to them about.
Absolutely. I'll reach out by email and also try and get Curtis a call.
Great.
I know you said you'd lost about 100 students in enrollment. I'm sorry to hear. So we'd love to be able to help any way we can combat that.
Well, thanks.
Absolutely.
And I'll just add, I think, that there are many of our schools who have seen, some decrease in enrollment, but I think that, especially using platforms similar to what Rockford Lutheran is using to offer parents options for learning as we go into, as we look to kind of go into the next full year of academics. I still believe that we're going to have a lot of parents who aren't comfortable sending their children to school every day, and they're looking for, or they're going to be working from home and they want the flexibility. I was with a friend over the weekend and she said, we take road trips every, 2 weeks or something. And we can, because my kids can engage in learning on the road and I'm working from home. So we're really going to see this need for remote learning options in more and more of our schools as they find that their clients want more options.
Yeah, I think the educational landscape has changed. I don't think we're exactly sure what it's going to settle back down to, but I don't think it'll quite be the same as it was pre-2020.
So one of the things we're talking to people about is student ownership of their own activity and parent monitoring of that. So parents viewing their school as an investment instead of a consumer purchase. And the more they're able to reference the Today page, the better they're able to keep up with the kids. And when the kids have it laid out for them in the concept of Today page, they'll be more effective at getting that done. Obviously, that works differently for every developmentally appropriate stage, but even starting to think in terms of Today as part of a context of a larger picture will be helpful. And I would encourage you to sell that concept to people, that Today is meaningful because of the context, not because of the contest of learning that we have to deal with. And that'll be a major consideration for us if we can put that together for the elementary as effectively as we have for the junior senior. And the communication piece, obviously tied directly to that, will be so important so that everybody has the expectation. If you're organizing your class with an objective, it's good for the parent to know, why are we doing this?
Yeah, thank you for that, Don. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, that framing is appreciated.
Yeah.
We're certainly happy to go into detail on anything else or answer further questions. We do just sort of enjoy being able to be here and show off what we do a bit more.
You want to give us a look at the Today page? I'm curious at some of the features that are included in that concept. The concept is clear to me, but the implementation of it, I'm sure, is what's really interesting.
Yeah, well, Jake, why don't you pull up BEA and do an actual live showing of the student experience. While Jake is pulling that up, I think the today page has just been made to be super simple, so that no one gets lost. You go straight in, you find your class, you head in there. In terms of the setup, to be honest, it's not super easy to get set up, but that's why you have us, and we provide you complete support. We get some sort of copy of your schedule, and we plug that into the system, coordinate it with the relevant classes. If you've got some students that are at home, what we do on our end is split them into cohorts to say that this cohort is at home, this cohort is at school, and actually that would be reflected on the Today page as well, as to whether it's an online class for them or whether it is something that they are doing at home. So this is just a little demo school that Jake has built out, and essentially you'd go to your website and you'd sign in to Beehively there, or you could just use our website. But typically it's a button on the web page. You're straight in here, and as Jake will do, he'll go over that left, click on the Today page, and that's going to show him. At the moment, it's a info user, so if he puts Jason in there, you're going to see all of Jason's classes. Well, perhaps Jason is not in this school.
All right.
We say view all. And then scrolling down there, you're going to see that any classes above are grayed out because they've closed, they've ended. And then this one you're able to jump into. We know that it's still open, as we're not past 10 a.m. yet on the West Coast. So you'd simply jump in there. You've got your resources on the left, and they're not just a static image. If you click those, they'll take you to the website, they'll take you to the worksheet, they'll take you to the YouTube video, whatever you want to be able to do there. And yeah, if you click Join Meet, most often what we see is people have linked that to a Zoom account or Google Meets. Like I said, we do have our own kind of software in there to be able to join. If you just want to keep everything in the platform very, I guess, concise, no one gets lost, everyone's had to sign in. But we just generally found people have found Google Meets and Zoom to be their home during the pandemic.
And this is not a real school you're showing us?
That is correct. Yep, this is a demonstration school that I've built out just so we can, show all of the features.
So this is like when Corey was a little girl, she used to play school. Now this is 21st century play school.
Exactly. This is 21st century digital play school.
Could you connect this to Canvas? Do you think you can connect to Zoom? Could this be, if you hit join meeting at the high school, you'd go to the Zoom page, but could you structure this? Do you know anything about Canvas?
Yeah, I do know about Canvas. In terms of integrating with Canvas, I guess that's not something that's like a clear answer. However, I know Canvas does also link out to, just a couple of clicks to Zoom and takes you there. So we could certainly just take that link and put it in here, and then your entire upper school, lower school could all be linked essentially to where you need to go.
Nice. That's a lot of thought has gone into this. I appreciate it.
No,
I think this is the whole issue of whether distance learning will be synchronous or asynchronous is a big deal. We're asynchronous this year and we're going to synchronous. But for the elementary school, again, I'm concerned that elementary kid, it's not appropriate for a third grader to be on the screen for 7 hours.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that and the differences between different education types and how to teach students when they're at home instead of in the classroom is why this Today page is so flexible. Most of the buttons and pieces that you see here that Jake has already set up are really just boxes that you can put anything in on the back end. So you can attach any kind of resource, whether it's a website, a link to Canvas, a worksheet, link to an e-textbook, anything you need there. And then the join meeting link really does go anywhere. It can go to a pre-recorded meeting. It can go to a live call on Zoom, Google Meet, or you can use our internal software for meeting as well.
Now, I tell you what would be really helpful is if when the student logged in, if they got up from their chair, they got an electrical shock. So that they stay focused at the time, or maybe you could give them a little shock if they fell asleep, if you see their head nodding.
We're hoping to unveil that at the conference in October 2022.
There you go.
I would definitely purchase that for my own child. So I think that would, yeah, I like that technology a lot. I see Diana walked away, but at Trinity, did you guys have any questions? You're muted. I thought I saw Diana looking like she might have. Sorry, go ahead.
I just had a question on employees' timesheets and things like that. Because right now we have a time clock and it uses the fingerprint, but it's very hard because it's not connected to our rest of the systems. So we need something that is integrated.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess, Don touched on, the financial side of it, which we don't do. However, while we manage, enrollment through some forms, in terms of tracking employment hours, we do track volunteer hours in case you have volunteers working at the school and you need that to be logged, but we don't have a specific financial tracking piece for staff and payment.
So on top of that, we do work with a lot of schools that use different programs. And one of the things that we do for some of them is to create a custom export that pulls all of your staff data from Beehively and it then makes it easy to link that to your online time tracking system. You can also add a custom link into the system in like a staff group or something like that. So it's really easy to get to those pieces and you can continue to use Beehively as your hub.
And to add on to what Liz said there, with that sort of custom export, that's something we'd also help you with in terms of support to work out how to do that, what format works best, how frequently you want to do that, and then we implement that as best we can in order to, as Liz said, make Beehively your central hub.
Okay. Thank you.
While we're in the platform, is there anything else that we touched on during the presentation that anyone would like to see a little bit further of in the flesh, so to speak? That all sounds pretty good. I think the only other thing that I might point out is should anyone want to have a website alongside the software, because the software actually controls the website, you're able to edit that from within the portal. So there it is possible to jump into the content management system or CMS straight from here. So it makes administrators who also manage the website, again, a kind of one place for everything in the Beehively platform. And should you have multiple websites, you'll find them all under that tab. Thank you for highlighting that, Jake.
Well, fantastic. Yeah, let me go ahead. I just want to quickly pull up the contact us slide just to make sure that everybody had an opportunity. Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. Just to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to grab all of our information. If there are any other further questions or anything that you guys would like to, further discuss, we would love to have a one-on-one meeting where, like I pointed out a little bit earlier, we can really get into the specifics of your school and your school's needs. So please don't hesitate to reach out or anything like that. There is that promo as well, just to remind you all on that, 20% off of one-time activation fees, free tech assessment for your school as well. And I just want to, again, say thank you so much for joining me and my team today. It was really great to have the opportunity to be here and share this with you all.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jake. And if we can we add that contact page as maybe a PDF to go along with the recorded video.
Absolutely. I'll probably
great.
send you the more business formal one and not the one with the pets, but I will gladly get that over to you.
That would be wonderful.
Of course.
We can also include the pictures of the pets in case you guys need more dog pictures in your life.
Sure.
Always,
Yes.
always.
You're actually most welcome to the entire presentation. So
Elizabeth, I'm not sure your dog qualifies.
Well, in that picture, he was also only like 7 months old, but he is very small.
I'll bet he's got quite a personality. What is he, about 15 pounds?
He's actually 9.5 pounds.
Oh my God.
I
And
call
there he
him
is.
travel sized because you can just pick him up and go on an adventure.
I have a little dog who's 95 pounds and a big one who's 160.
Uh-huh. Oh God. What's the what kind of breed is the 160?
Half Saint and half Newfoundland, but we have
Oh.
had we've had the Berners before.
Yep. No, it's a fantastic breed. Love that, Don. Love that, man. That's awesome.
All right, I
I
gotta
grew
go.
up with Rottweilers, so this is very,
Oh
very
my gosh. Yeah, that's different. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
All right, thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to the Beehively team or to myself or Melanie if you need anything else.
Fantastic. Well, thanks again, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.
thank you.